Hello everyone, this is Pippin Williamson with Pippin's Pages and Pippin'sPlugins.com, and what I'm going to show you in this video is how to add additional fields to Restrict Content Pro, to the registration page for Restrict Content Pro. So the example that I'm going to use in this tutorial is how to add a agree to our terms of use. Basically a checkbox similar to the auto renew option that you see here, except it's going to be a required checkbox. And it's going to be for terms of use, so requiring that people agree to your terms for your website before they can register for the account. If they don't agree for it, then they will not be able to register. So it's actually really simple. Restrict Content Pro has an API built in that allows you to do this very easily, and so I'm going to show you how. So what we're going to do is we're going to, you can put this in your functions.php, in a custom functions.php plugin file, or wherever you want. But the idea of this is to be able to add this custom form, the field to the form, without having to modify the actual plugin. And that's what Restrict Content Pro allows you to do, is you can actually add these form fields without modifying any of the core plugin code. So it's really simple, actually. It's going to require two functions and two functions only. So the very first one is going to be the function that is going to output the field itself to the registration form. So we're going to write a function here called terms of use field. And now inside of this function, we're simply going to output the HTML for this field. The HTML for this is very simple. It's nothing more than a simple just a checkbox, and I've just set it up in an output buffer just to make things nice and simple and make it really clean. So we're going to put in a checkbox field. So we're going to give it input name equals RCP. That's just my prefix. It could actually be anything you want. Terms agreement. We're going to give it the same ID. The ID is not required, but it's recommended that each field have a unique ID. We're going to give it a class of required, and this class, given it required, makes it so that the jQuery validation plugin, which is bundled with Restrict Content Pro, will automatically detect this as a required field if you have the jQuery validation enabled. So if you have this class added, the required class, and the user does not check the box, the jQuery validation will automatically say, hey, this field is required. Type equals checkbox, just like that. And now we're going to give it a label, for, and for is going to be, it's the ID of our field. And then simply we're going to enter in our text, agree to our terms of use. Just like that. Okay? And now if you wanted to be even better, you would actually go ahead, if you were doing this as a plugin or for someone else's site or something like that, you would probably go ahead and localize this as well, just like this. And then this would be your prefix, which for Restrict Content Pro is RCP. So there's your field, and that's all that you have to do for the form field. And now all we do is we attach it to what's called an action hook, and the name of this hook is RCP after register form fields. And this hook is basically means that we're going to output all of this at the bottom of the registration form, but before the submit. So after the fields, before the submit. And now we're going to simply copy the name of our function and put it right there. So there we go. Now if we go ahead and go look at our registration page, we'll see our field there. So here's the registration page, and if we refresh, there's our field right there. If we go ahead and inspect the element so that we can look at the source code for it, you'll see here's all of the HTML that we just typed up here. So there's our field, and notice that it matches all the styling of all the rest of the fields perfectly. So now what we need to do is we actually need to process this field. So right now, if we click register and note that it's not checked, notice that you don't see an error that says please agree to our terms of use. Well, to add that, we simply need one more function. We type function, and the name of it is going to be check for agreement. So it's just pretty simple. And we're going to give it one variable called posted, and this variable is going to contain all of the post data. If you're not familiar with post data, basically this is all of the information that is sent by the server from the form. So now we can do this. So if not is set, so basically that means if the box was not checked, posted, then it's going to be the name of the input field. So our name is this right here. So we do if not is set posted, RCP terms agreement. The field was not checked. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to actually register an error with Restricted Content Pro in the case that this field is not checked. To do that, we have a function included with Restricted Content Pro called RCP underscore errors, just like that. And we can do add, then we can give our error code a unique code. And this code could really be anything you want, but use something that makes sense. And then the second parameter, which I've just localized, is the message that you want to be displayed, the error message. So you must agree to our terms of use. So now what's going to happen here is if this field, the input field, isn't checked, it's going to record this error that says you must agree to the terms of use. And that error, recording this error, will actually trigger the check in Restricted Content Pro to prevent registration unless this box is checked. So now all we have to do is add in another action hook. And this case is called RCP form underscore errors. And this is basically a hook that fires when Restricted Content Pro does all of the error checking. The second parameter, is the name of our error checking function, just like that. And there we go. We're done. So let's go take a look. So let's reload this page. So we have our form. We can fill out the details. And now if we click register without checking the box, you'll see it says you must agree to our terms of use. Now if we check the box, that error goes away. So there we go. That's all there is to it, to adding a custom field to Restricted Content Pro. In this case, we're adding a terms of use, which is very, very useful and important to a lot of sites, but not necessarily for all sites. Now, let's say we want to take this just a little bit further, and let's go ahead and add in the text for our terms of use. Well, let's just add it in here, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to grab some default text. Just pretend that this is our terms of use right here. And now we can see our terms of use right here. Now obviously you're going to style this differently. I mean, one thing that you might do is you might put in a header just like that. So now you have the header right there. Another thing that might be a great idea is put this in a modal window. So have a link right here that says agree to our terms of use, and then our terms is a link that actually pops up and displays the terms of use as a modal. Or it could be a separate page, it could be whatever you want, but you need to have some way to actually view the terms of use. And if you wanted to get really technical, you could actually make it so that they have to click the terms of use page and actually view that before you can actually even check this agree to our terms, because you can make this a disabled field. So anyway, that's a quick introduction to how you can add a custom field to Restrict Content Pro. You can use this method to add as many fields as you want. As a quick example, we could do this. We can add a separate field. And just to make this simple, I'm just going to put in a number 2 right here. So this is our second agree to terms. And then we can actually add it in right down here. So you don't need a function for every single field. You only need one function for all the fields you want to add. So now, if we take a look at this, we actually have 2 fields. And notice that now there are 2 errors for each field. If we check one error goes away. And if we check the other, if we check both errors go away, just like that. So you can add as many fields as you want, and you can do very simple checks. You could also go a little bit further, like this. you could actually combine them you could just say, so if not is set and, or let's actually do this too, or we're going to add this error. Oops, except this should be _2. So now, if I check one, it shows the error. If I check the other, it shows the same error. If, however, I check both, it works. So there you have it. Adding fields to Restrict Content Pro is very easy. It's quite simple. There is an example of this inside of the documentation. If you go over here to Restrict and Help, and now over here on the right, click Action Reference, and now down here, here's a sample function group that will show you how to add this, and it will show everything for you. It's got the HTML function, and it's got the validation function as well. So anyway, that's how you add fields to Restrict Content Pro. There are also a variety of other form hooks that you can use up here. You can see this big list right here that you can actually add to additional fields as well, or to different pages or different locations. Anyway, that's Restrict Content Pro. That's adding fields to it. I hope you enjoyed it.